Welcome to Across the Globe. Today we will learn about Context API. The Context API in React facilitates the sharing of data across components without the need to pass props manually at each level. This feature becomes beneficial when multiple components require access to shared values like theme, locale, or user data. For instance, a React application with a multi-language support feature can use the Context API to make the selected locale available to all relevant components without prop drilling. Similarly, a theme switching functionality can be managed efficiently by utilizing Context API to propagate the current theme to various parts of the application without the overhead of repetitive prop passing. Context API in React includes provider, consumer, and createContext. Provider passes values down to components, while consumer accesses these values. createContext creates a context object. For instance, a theme provider can pass theme-related info down to various components, like a dark mode theme passed down to a sidebar component. The sidebar consumer then obtains and applies this theme info. This arrangement optimizes managing global states across components efficiently. In order to apply a consistent theme across your application, you can utilize the Context API in React. Begin by creating a new context instance using createContext, like this. JSX theme context equals createContext light. After creating the context, enclose your entire application within a provider component and specify the desired theme as a value. For example, JSX theme context.provider value equals dark. Your app components here, theme context.provider. Lastly, in any component where you wish to access and apply the theme, employ the consumer component as follows. JSX theme context.consumer theme, use the theme value here consumer. By following these steps, you can apply a uniform theme throughout your application without manually passing theme props from a parent component to deeply nested child components. This method is particularly handy for scenarios where global theming is needed without having to explicitly pass down props. Context API in Python can be employed with frameworks like Flask to manage global states. This involves establishing a global variable or object to retain data accessible throughout various components. For instance, in Flask, a global variable could be defined to store shared data, like a theme setting. When a client accesses a specific route, such as // in the example, the stored theme can be retrieved from the global variable for rendering within a template, ensuring consistent theming across the web application. Imagine you are a manager at a large company and you need to communicate important information to all of your employees. Instead of individually going to each employee's desk to give them the information, you decide to post a notice on a bulletin board in a common area. This bulletin board acts as a central location where all employees can easily access the information they need without you having to manually distribute it to each person. In programming, the Context API in React functions in a similar way by providing a centralized location for storing and accessing shared data across different components without needing to pass data through multiple levels of props. Hey, code conquerors, ready to level up? With TechLearn ATG, showcase your skills with official course certificates. Just visit our site and start. Need that extra boost? Get tailored learning, 24/7 support, and expert guidance. Coding smarter, growing faster, and making learning fun. Go to our website across the globe, www.atg.world. The code snippet above showcases the usage of Context API in React to manage and share data across components efficiently. Let's break down the key components and their functionalities. 1. Creating context. Company context is defined using createContext method. It acts as a global container to store and share the company information among different components. 2. Providing context value. The company provider component is responsible for wrapping the application and providing the company information as the value for company context.provider. This ensures that any child component within the provider's scope can access this shared data. 3. Consuming context value. The bulletin board component uses the useContext hook to consume the company information from the company context. By accessing the shared data through the context, the component can display the important notice on the bulletin board. Number 4. Component hierarchy. The app component serves as the entry point where the bulletin board component is rendered within the company provider. This nesting structure ensures that the bulletin board component has access to the shared company information provided by the company provider. Real-world example. In a corporate setting, the use of Context API can be likened to a real bulletin board in an office space. The company context acts as the physical board where important notices like meeting schedules, policy updates, or event announcements are posted. The company provider is equivalent to the management, ensuring that all employees have access to the information on the bulletin board. The bulletin board component serves as the display area where employees can easily see and refer to the shared company information. By implementing Context API in React, developers can streamline the management of shared data across components, enhancing the overall organization and accessibility within the application. One industrial application of the Context API is in e-commerce platforms, where user authentication status needs to be managed across multiple components. By using the Context API to store and provide the user authentication status, components like the shopping cart, user profile, and checkout process can easily access this shared data without prop drilling. Another real-world example is in content management systems, where different user roles have varying levels of access. The Context API can be leveraged to store and provide the user role information to components responsible for rendering content based on permissions. This centralization of user role data through context helps in maintaining a consistent user experience throughout the application. In conclusion, the Context API is a powerful tool in React for managing shared data across components efficiently, making it ideal for scenarios where data needs to be accessed by multiple components without passing props down the component tree. Keep learning, stay curious, and I'll catch you in the next video.